I'm Becky, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to make blueberry muffins. I don't know about you, but sometimes I buy a box of blueberries and they get left. So what do you do with them when they get a little bit overripe? Well, you can put them into muffins. So you're going to need a muffin tin, which is deeper than the usual 12-hole patty tin, and you're going to need the muffin cases. So I've got mine ready and we're going to start mixing. So we've got the tin ready and I've got the oven on to gas mark 3, which is 160 degrees Celsius or 140 fan. And in my bowl I've got 200 grams of caster sugar and 200 grams of I hope fairly soft margarine, and I'm going to cream those together. And that's the back of the spoon against the side of the bowl, and you just press them together until the sugar disappears and you start to get a creamy sort of a lump. And then you can go as fast as you like to get some air into it. This is not a recipe to use the electric mixer, you'll see why later. Right, there we are, and I've got my bowl on my trusty mat too, so it doesn't slide around too much. So the mixture's quite soft and it's a little bit paler than it was, and it's always a good job to cream these things together really thoroughly, because this is when you beat in extra air. Now to that we're going to add 2 eggs, one at a time, just so that you can be sure you haven't got shell in there. Put it apart, check for shell, so that can go in, and then you can do the other one. Okay, now we beat those in. This looks a bit dodgy at this stage, but don't worry, it will all be okay. It's always good to have your eggs at room temperature as well, because they do mix in better. Right, at this stage we're going to add milk. So it becomes quite a wet mixture, and I have got 140 millilitres of milk, and to that I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla essence. British Standard measuring spoons, that's a teaspoon. In it goes. Normally I like the proper vanilla extract, but that's all I could find in my cupboard today. So that goes in, and it starts to look most unusual. Give it a bit of a stir, but then add your flour. You've got 300 grams of self-raising, and you're going to add an extra teaspoon of baking powder to that. And my measuring spoon is wet, so I've got to use a dry one. So give that a stir, and then your 300 grams of self-raising flour goes in. Muffins are really almost a batter rather than a typical cake mixture. Look at that, it's very wet. So you get that pretty much mixed in before you finally add the blueberries. It's very important not to overmix muffins, because as soon as the self-raising flour touches the liquid, it starts to give off its raising agent, so you need to keep as much of that by going quickly. Into that, my washed blueberries, and just a quick stir to get them mixed in. And that's it done. Couldn't be easier really, could it? So I'm going to use 2 dessert spoons to get this into the paper cases, and I'm going to half fill them to start with, and then go back and use the rest of the mixture to top them up so that they're equal. So a dessert spoon into each one, and that helps the paper case to drop into the bottom of the muffin tin if it's not quite sitting at the bottom. Make sure you get a few blueberries in each one. The wonderful thing about blueberries is that when you cook them they burst, and you get those pockets of gloopy fruit in the middle of your cakes. Muffins, I think, probably came over from America about 25 or 30 years ago. Very popular over there, often made with oil. So you get a very, I think, greasy texture to the cakes, and I prefer this where you cream the margarine. It just seems that bit nicer. Now you can see we've got a lot of mixture. So I'm going to go back, a bit more in each one. They do start out quite full, and when they rise they become quite enormous. And friends of ours in America often have these for breakfast with a coffee. There we are, that's done. So now they go into the oven and they cook for 30 minutes or thereabouts. I'll tell you how long mine take when they come out. Right, they're looking good. They're well risen, they're golden brown. I can't hear them sizzling at all. And so I'm going to let those cool for 10 minutes in the tin before I take them out, because they're very, very soft at this stage. So 10 minutes, be patient. As you can see, the blueberries have burst and become quite jammy, so these don't keep for a terribly long time. And if you've made more than you can eat, why not put one into a little bag and take it round to a next door neighbour? Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing this and that perhaps you have a go at it yourself. And if you would like to like it and share it, and then subscribe, and then you'll hear more. Bye.